This is St. James's Palace in London.
Prince William collapsed in disbelief. His own father just handed the crown's future to someone else. In a moment that has stunned the entire United Kingdom and rocked the royal family to its core, King Charles's final request was not what anyone expected. Instead of passing the regency torch to his eldest son, Charles turned to his sister, Princess, and declaring she alone could protect the monarchy. What led to this historic decision? Why was William excluded? And how did Princess and respond? Tonight, we uncover the secret conversations, the emotional fallout, and the power shift that could change everything. Stay with us. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. The palace was quiet that morning. A gray mist clung to the gardens outside Windsor Castle, thick and unmoving, as if the very air refused to shift under the weight of what was about to unfold. Inside the centuries-old stone walls, a storm was brewing that no one, not even the most seasoned royal aides, could have predicted. It wasn't the press or the parliament or even a new scandal that threatened to shake the core of the British monarchy. No, it was something far more personal, far more devastating. It was a single decision, a final request, and it came from the one man who still held the scepter of ultimate power, King Charles III. What happens when a monarch looks past his own heir? What happens when the crown, in all its ancient, gilded weight, is entrusted not to the future king, but to a sibling, a sister who has stood in the background for decades, silent, dutiful, unyielding? What happens when trust, not bloodline, becomes the foundation of royal authority? These weren't just abstract questions anymore. They were real, they were immediate, and they were devastating. Because behind one gilded door, in a quiet room where only the highest members of the royal inner circle were allowed to step, King Charles had spoken his final wish aloud. He did not want his son, Prince William, to serve as regent should his health fail. He wanted his sister, Princess Anne. The sentence cut through the room like a dagger. Not William. Anne. Prince William, Duke of Cornwall and Cambridge, heir to the British throne and future King of England, was not to carry out the royal duties in his father's absence. He was not the trusted protector of the monarchy in this fragile, transitional moment. That honor, that trust, that authority was to be given to someone else. And not just anyone, but a woman who had, for her entire life, dutifully walked 10 steps behind the men of the royal family. Now, King Charles was stepping aside, and he was asking the world to place their faith in the Princess Royal. In the moments that followed this revelation, Prince William's world shifted beneath his feet. Observers in the room later described him as pale, frozen in place, the blood draining from his face as if all color and certainty had evaporated from his life in an instant. This wasn't just betrayal. It was devastation. The type of wound that cuts so deep it doesn't bleed, it simply scars. Some said he collapsed into a nearby chair. Others whispered that he left the room without speaking a word. What is clear is that nothing was the same afterward. Not in the royal household. Not in the relationship between Charles and William. Not in the line of succession, which suddenly felt more like a line of fracture. This moment, the rejection of an heir, the elevation of a sibling, marked a seismic turning point in the monarchy's modern story. It wasn't just about titles. It was about trust. It was about who could be relied upon to protect the crown in a time of chaos and fragility. And for King Charles, that person was not the son who had walked behind him for decades, but the sister who had stood beside him, quietly, resolutely, without complaint or controversy. To fully understand the gravity of this moment, we must go back. We must rewind the clock, not just to the day of the announcement, but to the months, perhaps even years, that led up to it. Because decisions like this are never made in a vacuum. They are the product of tension, of history, of mistakes made and lessons learned. King Charles III ascended the throne under the long shadow of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, a woman whose reign was defined by stability, tradition, and an almost supernatural capacity for emotional restraint. For 70 years, she steered the monarchy through storms and scandals, relying not on charisma, but on consistency. And in the midst of it all, there was the second child, the daughter, the workhorse. She never courted drama. She never leaked to the press. She simply showed up, year after year, event after event, country after country. Quiet, loyal,